My name is Victoria Fragoso. I am your host. I'm so excited to be back for another episode of Tuesday with Toya. We are starting a whole new season, season 5. And even though this won't be the very first episode aired, it will be my very first episode back. I'm so excited to be here with Charlie Tuckness, aka Coven Dove. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So the reason I wanted to interview you is because I heard your music at Edison Square, maybe at a songwriter round with Cascade Music Alliance. That was right before Ghost and Glass played, but your stage presence and your voice and the way that you played and the melodies that you were singing just totally carried me away. So
thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I'm excited to talk with you about your newest and latest project. Can you tell me a little bit about the story?
So I'm coming out of mortality with this into clarity, right? Mortality is my debut album. Lots of grief, lots of transformation into clarity. And recently have come to really find that the most defining factor of clarity is like love, On the other side of grief is love. And this story is very much about love and all of its different shapes and forms. Divine love with a creator, love with a partner, falling out of love, falling in love with yourself. And clarity surrounds this story of two entities, which I call the Emperor and the High Priestess, very much masculine, feminine energies. And they fall in and out of love with one another. And there's a really beautiful story arc in there for the High Priestess before she falls in love and after she falls out of love with the Emperor. And it's very much a mirror of what I have internally experienced on the other side of grief and just self-exploration in general. The High Priestess being a very traditionally feminine, esoteric symbol. In this story, she feels scorned by the goddess. She loses touch with her magic and is cast out of this practice and comes across the Emperor who she falls in love with. And the Emperor, being this kind of nepo baby bratty guy, is like, I want her and I'll have her. And she's just willing to, she's like, yeah, she just fell out of love with her higher power. This authority figure steps in and he's perfect. And in tradition, the High Priestess has always been the advisor to the king. We're
talking about tarot.
And we're talking about tarot. Yeah, we are talking about tarot here, but also in history. Tarot is very deeply based off of a wide variety of histories, different cultures. And in history, kings have had advisors, and very often they're feminine-esque. That doesn't mean that they were women. Women haven't had the easiest time or most reverence in history. But they definitely, the underbelly of spiritual knowledge has been represented by the feminine. And this is very much that. Whereas she would have, in this story, normally a place beside the king, advising him on his moves. He is very out of touch with that part of himself and casts her out. She is once again cast out by this thing that she loves and holds above herself, and is forced to turn inward and reckon with this ability to just quickly give herself away to whatever demands her attention, or submit, I really should say. And in that, she finds love in community, in that she submits herself to something greater that is not outside of herself, but connects her into something greater. She falls in love with herself, and therefore she falls in love with her sisters, and they all fall back in love with the goddess together. And now this authority figure is not something that it's not something that she can't touch. It's something very much that is tangible. Love manifest. And we don't really know what happens with the Emperor. He kind of just throws a fit and she leaves. And then he's in the last song on the album, this is the arc of the album, he's he wants her back, but it's very possessive. But you can tell that he's fighting with himself in this way that's like, he doesn't know how to proceed. He never fell in love, and he's never fallen out of love, and he has always gotten what he wanted. So he's torn in between possession and grief, and he doesn't know what to do. So this whole album, Clarity, is very much that story of me, the thing that happens inside of me, and the marriage and the falling apart of the masculine and feminine, and very much a reflection of things that are happening in the world today, where we are trying to find equality, and we're trying to find that camaraderie, and we're trying to find collaboration, and authority is fighting back. And we are like, okay, well, then we're going to do it on our own time without you, I guess.
I think that's very powerful and very real for a lot of people, especially as you find yourself awakened to new ideas or new realities.
The whole structure, fabric of the way that you've lived is completely turned on its head, and you're not given a guide. You're not given a structure. You're not given a book. You literally just go forward, and you leap into the void, and you just hope that the net appears, you know.
I was on a podcast on the Radio Tacoma station that I heard someone talk about like music as the perfect antidote for grief. Mm-hmm. And so I feel that you've captured that incredibly in these songs of Clarity. So I would love to go into them. Please Me, which I cannot tell you, the first time I heard this song, my jaw dropped. Are just so artfully done. Please tell me more.
Well, I gotta give credit where credit is due. The production, that would be Sydney Lane Studios. My partner Reggie, who is wonderful. Amazing. And brought his talent from Nashville to here, and not a Washington native.
So cool.
We were really lucky to cross paths. I feel really lucky that we crossed paths. But Please Me is definitely a ride. You know, you're starting out. I'm starting out, I should say. I mean, these are personal experiences, and there is a greater story woven through them. But I start out in the song. I remember it very clearly. The song was kind of like it was a beg. It was like, please don't freaking leave, dude. Like, we've worked so hard on this, and I care about you so deeply. And I think there was a moment where normally I would just be like, hey, like, please stay, I'll do anything. But instead of saying I'll do anything, it was please stay, and I need this from you. Mm-hmm. You know, not only do I need you to show up, but I need you to like be present. And, you know, I sing, I need you to make it up to me because I'm about to break. And it's really just this honest, like, I need you to pay attention to my needs. I need you to like look, and I need you to listen, and I need you to be here. And not only do I need that, I want that. I mean, it literally was like she was cast out by higher power, and now what does she have to turn to?
My mindfulness alarm. See, another sign from the universe.
Time to be mindful.
Time to be mindful. And it's 12:34, and so that time is it signifies you are where you're supposed to be.
Here you are.
And here we are.
Here we are in the studio.
And I love that.
At the radio.
At the radio.
At the radio.
So.
And great point Patricia made about the radios. She's like, can you say something? And I mean, we can try. I think that, you know, in regards to the album, when we're outcast or at odds with the power in place, as it will be, we have to turn to our community. Mm-hmm. We have to turn to our community. Mm-hmm. And, you know, not all resources are given to us by powers that be. Some, right. And yes, they are all from the source, if you will, if you want to talk in a spiritual sense or an esoteric sense, the thing that creates matter, they're all from that. But we get them from different places, and our community is one of those. And I think I was talking about Please Me, but we'll segue real quick into Divine Code. Mm-hmm. Divine Code, I wrote while I was homeless, funnily enough. Oh. And a friend we were just talking to was struggling with housing. Mm-hmm. I was not without a roof over my head, but I did not have a place to call my own. And it was a little over a year ago, a year and a half maybe. And there was a moment where I was basically couch surfing, offering to house sit for people while they were on vacation, jumping around. And there was a moment where I was almost sure that I was going to have to leave Washington. And I had made a home here for 4 years. I was, comfortable. It was like I had found myself here. I had went through intense loss and intense gain. And I was paralyzed and blinded, and I didn't know what to do. I had no way forward. And I remember I just sat down at my little mic, my USB mic, the same one I recorded Mortality on, and I started humming, and this line came to me, and then I started singing about this figure that I had seen in my head. And it was like a blue fairy almost. And last time I saw it, I was in like 3rd grade. And this was like a very similar figure. It's like this woman outlined in blue, and she rested her hand on my shoulder. And it was like she was whispering in my ear. Hence the lyrics, mention, she says, listen, and she says, I won't betray you. I won't turn around and blame you. I love everything you do, and I could never shame you. And that is what she says, is like, you are right where you're at. I got you. You're doing what you need to be doing. It's going to be okay. Just focus on keeping the spirit alive. And it became Divine Code, which was a celebration of divine energy and creative energy and moving forward and metamorphosis. And that extended into my community. Part of the reason I didn't want to leave is for what felt like the first time in forever, I had this group of spiritual people, this group of creative people that really just not only believed, but embodied these things that I valued so highly, that I could talk about, that I could collaborate with. And I visited home for a while, just to see if I could settle in or find a place while I was in transit. I'm home in Florida with my dad. A place that I didn't grow up, so home in quotations.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm coming back. And I did come back, and I recorded that song. And not only did I make the album after that, but I also brought in so many of my friends on that album, especially that song. We've got like Jade and Alyssa from Fern Spores, my friend Danica, Rosanica. We've got a friend of mine, Rahi, and she is also a talented artist with very little out right now. But we're going to change that.
I love that.
We're going to encourage that communal growth. It comes down to like, no one is going to hand you the answer. Not the person with the most resources is usually not the most giving.
Yeah.
You're going to look to the left. You're going to look to your right. You're like, let's get a little churchy here. You look to your neighbor,
Right.
shake their hand.
Yeah.
I value that community in spirit. And that is what I'd really found out here, was this like community in spirit, non-denominational. It wasn't pointed in any specific way. There's just a spirit out here. And I was like, I'm not leaving this. And so I dug my heels in and I stayed. And I'm so glad I did, because now I'm here with you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so incredible and powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's so, when you're in the depths of despair, it's so, how can you see out? Where do you look? Who is gonna, And I've written songs about, my dark moments as well, and thinking that there's like, what is, I don't know what's coming. I don't know, but you have to trust that internal voice, which told you like, I need to stay. This is what I want. This is what feels best for me. I think, love is the greatest human experience that we can have, and that it comes with connection, right? So connection is right there. And I love that, the idea of the image in blue. I mean, because so often we do look to the external to console us, to guide us, to give us the answers. But it's often internally that we find them in silence, in odd ways, I would say. Yeah, I've seen that reflected in my own life. And so It's so helpful to when you can finally connect with another soul, another human being, and just relate to them on a very personal level, or even just a simple like shared laugh at something funny that just happened. And so the divine code is, that you are following, it's within you. Like there's no map. Yeah. You are the blueprint. You are the
Yeah. I was the blue lady.
Yes.
And she was also not of me, it's that
transcendence.
Kind of like the higher self,
Yeah.
And also just like, it is kind of like, you kind of have to surrender to the mystery. Was it a muse? Mm-hmm. Was it God? Was it me? Was it something else? Mm-hmm. And you just allow it to be what it is. And it is spontaneous and will come to you at the perfect time.
Not on your time, but
not on your time. Never on your time. No. And that's the divine code, is that matrix of things that are right outside my wheel of understanding and will probably remain there for the rest of my life. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing.
It's surrendering to that. Yeah. That experience is quite real.
There's a bit of to be frank, a bit of an erotic element to it if you listen to the lyrics, but I'll let people get to that themselves. So
I love a good deep dive.
Yeah. So listen to the lyrics. Y'all tell me.
And then in terms of the order of clarity, so after Please Me comes False Spring. One of the things that I love about this album is just all the like little sonic details that are embedded. And so the birds singing in that song it just transcends or transports you to a different place. And so that's what I really love about this album is like I feel like I'm right there in the story, even if I don't know exactly what the story is, but I can see it. We're all playing out on the stage. So tell us a little bit about False Spring, because it just starts out so viscerally. Oh.
Thank you. Well, first, I love that. I'm a big proponent of the theater of the mind. And I just, like setting the stage. I'm glad that succeeded. I was literally in the car today, like yelling to myself, bring theater back. There's something about the fun drama that we desperately need.
And I can hear that come up again too in, I think it's Collapse. But Please Me, the album cover is literally the stage with the curtains. So the story begins. Yeah.
The story begins. And then False Spring, the story continues. It's almost as if Please Me kind of tees up the story for what it's going to be kind of overall, is like this like fight in and of the self of like internal and external love, and the infinite exchange of the feminine, masculine, and how we hold that, all of those pieces in ourselves. And, and that people hold up mirrors to us. And that's really what that is like quite a, Shakespearean, like, I need you to make it up to me. With False Spring, this really opens up on the high priestess, and she has been outcast by the mother goddess that she worships so deeply. And, send me into a false spring, like, okay, give me hope and then rip it away. I see you. You promised me all of these things, and now where am I? Going crazy alone in my room. And I like to picture myself or her wandering through like the woods during spring, and it's like everything is so beautiful, but you're just so forlorn. Like it's that lack of gratitude. It's the like, I'm so wrapped up in what I don't have that I don't see what I do. And there's also something that happens when you fall out of belief, which I've done many times in my life, that you really like, it just takes you. And you become such a small person, and colors aren't as vibrant, and people aren't as exciting. And this song is kind of an ode to this realization that no one's really looking out for me. And I wrote it in like 2018, and it just popped back up for me for some reason in the writing of this album. And I finished it, and it like in the bridge, I say, where is my head? I lost it in the bed, somewhere in the sheets, like deep in depression, like digging through, you're like just bed rot, straight bed rot. And you're like,
I love those lines. I remember that. Yeah.
Thank you. But then, I say, oh, shine your light on me. Like, oh my God, if you're empty, please, show me the way. And, and I almost wonder sometimes when I listen back to that song, if it's not so much of a man, seriously, as much as it is like, just because I'm not sitting here and like in gratitude doesn't mean that I don't want you to at least try extending your hand to me, like
show me a sign.
Show me a sign. Give me, even if it's fake, even
Right.
if it's a false spring, even if you're psyching me out, just give me a little glimmer of hope. It's like that first 70-degree day in Washington. The sun peeks out and you're like, my arms are out.
Spring is here.
Yeah. And it's like, and then it goes straight back to raining. But you have this like image of that day in your head. And you're like, one more month. I got this.
Yeah. We can do this.
We can do it. Yeah. So that's really like, that's really false spring. And the beautiful birds, it's very much like a lullaby. Like it's drony. It's constant. It is a little jazzy. It's really just like supposed to be this like trance cerebral dream state that kind of those spiritual mindset will get you into, whether you know it or not.
Yes, I wrote, it reminded me of some French song that I've heard. I just loved the drums and then had that like element of like feist for me. That's what came up. Yeah.
That's a great couple.
So fall spring. And then going into Hey Lover. Tell us about Hey Lover.
Well, Hey Lover is more longing. So you guessed it, more longing. Love and longing,
Reaching out my hand.
Please. I had just moved out here. Again, an older song. Some of these it's funny how many of these songs are older and how I didn't understand the value of them until I had gone through a deep grief, a deep loss, and come out the other end and been like, oh, I have to sing about this too. I can't, like, people say love songs are so easy to write, and I think for a while I was pretentious and was like, I can't be a basic person and sing about love, but I so can because I am. And love is not simple.
No.
It is, but it's not, like it's simple and so full of depth. And there is so many different ways to experience it, but the feeling is always there, if you allow it. And Hey Lover was one of those where I had just left Texas back in 2020.
Wow.
And just separated from my on and off partner of like 3 years. And I just wanted them with me. And I was like, why don't you come see me? What if you saw me here or there? And like, can't you imagine us together? And I remember writing that like one line about I'll feed you grapes right from the vine, because the place I was staying at had this, I was living in a little apartment above a woodshed. It was like 350 square feet, like total, and gorgeous. Loved it. But the house that was the woodshed was attached to the bigger house. The people that I was renting from had this giant wraparound porch, and the wraparound porch had grapes above the whole thing. And in the summer, they just hung down and you would literally just like reach up and like grab a bunch. And it was gorgeous, and like experiencing my first summer in the Pacific Northwest was blissful. After like blistering 110-degree heat, growing up with like, I'm just going to try to stay under the fan and survive. Like I could go outside and enjoy the sun and the birds and the fruits, literal fruits, like it's not the
paradise.
It's paradise. It was paradise. And so I wrote that line just thinking of what it would be like to share such a beautiful reality with somebody. And really to all of like my family and friends that were down in Texas, like I could just transport them here. If only I could bring them to paradise. And you have to be willing to do that. And I think part of me knew that not many would be willing to make the journey to paradise with me. And I you know, I ended it at that last line, hey lover, how I love you, like right after that second chorus singing about like the divine you are in my mind, like I hold these people in such high regard. I love so hard. And which I also reference in Please Me. Another thing I love about Hey Lover is that it is Hey Lover, and it encompasses like all of the forms that my love has taken in myself and others, you know, across all spectrum of gender and sexual expression. Like it's all, I'm all over the place. They're all over the place. We're all over the place.
We're all over the place,
it's
honestly.
fluid. Love,
Yeah.
love is an energy. It's not a script. And
love that.
thank you. I was like, oh, fire. And
That's going in the highlight reel.
Put it in. I'm wearing my little, you can't see it, but I'm wearing tights with little kiss marks all over them. Because, yeah.
You can hear them. There you go.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
There's
the sound. Both sounds work equally well.
There we go. But the big reprise, that big finale actually didn't come until I formed a band and until my community came to me and was like, let's bring this to life. And it was actually Reggie's idea to put that grand finale in. And he put it in as my drummer long before
you were even ready to accept that.
Yeah.
And together.
Yeah.
So we were playing this in my living room, and I do remember this, you telling me about this. And it's so cool. I love the way that songs evolve, even just from conception, right? To like, they continue to grow and grow and grow through just the songwriting portion, and then through the live performance portion. And then depending on where you are at the production, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it went from this, and this is a trend that why I decided to produce with Sydney Lane was it went from this like kind of solemn acceptance of just like, here's my love. And I know I'm not going to get this back. The unrequited, like, you know, this dream. It went from a literal dream to this celebration of all of the love that I have in my heart and all the love that I have to extend with this big build. Hey, lover. And it just boom. And I just sing and sing and sing. And my love really has transformed in that way from writing that song to now, where I know how to fill my own cup and I can just, you know, let it fly. And, you know, like, I am so grateful for all of the people that have like ushered me along that path too, and encouraged me to just go deeper and bigger with the love that I have. And Hey Lover is perfect for that.
It's so beautiful. And it reminds me of that idea that art imitates life and then life imitates art, and it just keeps going. And it's just, it definitely builds. And so as we go on into the story, we have As I Am, which for me, I wrote down, it was like my favorite arrangement. Like it was just the most like, I just love the way all the pieces come together. I also love the sentiment of it, you know, accepting yourself as you are, and someone else accepting yourself for who you are, especially as you sing As I Am, the note, the chord, it's not quite perfect, right? It's not somewhat dissonant. I don't know the musical terms, but, and so then I feel that's so reflected, you know, in that sentiment of like, nobody's perfect and we're accepting where we're at.
Yeah, and it's almost like a little bit of like a hesitance of like, love me as I am. And it's like, I know that I'm a little messed up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because, you know, none of us are perfect.
No, I think this is one of the first conversations that you and I had that we're coming to any new relationship or any new friendship, right? With what we have experienced and, you know.
Yeah. And I literally talked to my sister yesterday and she was like, you know, you don't have the same problem that a lot of other people have because you just fly wide open into your relationships. You were just gung-ho yourself. You will not hide. And I wasn't always that way. You know, I did try to minimize my flaws, but when you dim the lights, you dim everything. You know, you can't see clearly. So I don't do that anymore. But as I am, you know, like, it's also a little bit of hesitance. Love me as I am with that like little minor chord in there. It's like, I'm going to ask. I'm scared to ask, you know, just take me the way I am and baby, be my man. And like, I stuck with those lyrics because it was love me where I stand and take me as I am.
Oh,
But there was something about just singing Baby Be My Man that I was like, this is so
Yeah.
like, I was channeling like my Sheryl Crow, you know,
yeah.
I was like, it was very like, that was like very like Southern rootsy for me, and embracing a side of myself that I've often put to the side.
Sure.
And I also just like so many, I've been people's man, people have been my man, you know, like you, like I've seen so many women step up as like, you know, the man.
Yes, I think I love that you're saying this because for me, gender is just so fluid, and it's unfortunate, I think, how much we genderize things as masculine or feminine. But I enjoy the way that you sing it, and I do feel like it is right for this song. And too, and when we think about like the songs after they're put out as artists, right? That's the end. That's what they are. And now they're everybody else's. But at the same time, it's just a snapshot of something in time, and then it still continues to grow. So
yeah, and that was a tough decision for me, but there was it just because, you know, I don't want to define myself or limit my songs one way or the other, but it was true to the moment, and so it stayed. And yeah, that song definitely like that makes me want to like drive around with my windows down when the sun's out and just sing. That's a good journeying song, and it comes right after Hey Lover, where like the high priestess and the emperor meet, and they are like, that's the one. And it's kind of the emperor being like, all right, but you're not gonna change me. This is it. And you know, if you're so obsessed with me, then kind of prove it. And it puts a little cheeky tone in there because it really did come from a sincere place when I wrote it, of this like, all right, love me as I am. And that song came to me very soon after Please Me. It was like me again putting my foot down. I want you here, but I'm not gonna change for you. Like the changes I make are for betterment, you know, like I'm going to always work to get better, but I have to be myself. Like there are certain things about me that you're gonna have to accept is just like my weird effed up way of doing things. And maybe that's just because I'm approaching 30, or maybe it's just because I finally figured out that you can't compromise for love. You just can't.
That's a great lesson to learn. I think it's hard to be yourself in a world where society tells you that you need to be something else. That conditioning that continues to happen at all levels in every, you know, different institution or even just at home is so difficult to continue to overcome. So I really appreciate you sharing this perspective, because I think for me, one thing that I love about people is that we're all so unique.
Yeah.
And getting to appreciate someone's uniqueness and even what you consider, what you yourself, you're considering a flaw, someone else is going to look at it and be like, no, it's beautiful. I love that you do that. It's so quirky and fun, or, you know, whatever it is. And so when we get to that same appreciation with ourselves, that is, you know, the highest, I think that's just one of the best ways that we can honor ourselves and honor another person, because by being truthful to yourself, you're being truthful to that other person. And then the other person may feel empowered to be truthful to themselves or truthful to other people in a way that they hadn't been before. So for me, that's like just a big step of like towards bravery. But at the same time, you know, being unwilling to change is a very hard line to draw and say. What I'm reflecting on is hard that you're not wanting to change makes sense, right? But that you say you will never change, it's not really probable, because circumstances will change you.
Life changes you.
Yes. So being so resolute, I think, is really hard also for me to understand, because everything is constantly moving and changing. So
yeah, it is. And, you know, it is a little cheeky. It is like, oh, well, then just, you know, take me as I am. But I make a point in the song to say how much better life is with this person. You know, I do make a point in this song to talk about how much better life is with the person in it. You know, this is not like, this is a request. Like, I just want you to love me as I am. This is, and it is a demand. It is like, if you really do love me, then you will take me as I am. But it's also like, here's why, like, because you as you are make my life better. I want to take you as you are. You know, it is like, this is the mirror of love that I hold up. This is the way I love. And I really want you to try to do the same for me. And, you know, I think that in this storyline with the Emperor and the High Priestess, we see the Emperor putting his foot down. We know that he's kind of, well, we're about to find out that he's a little bit of a brat, bit of a brat. And I think that later we realize that it's actually not flawed thinking, that he's right, but the practice is not good. And the High Priestess, who is self-effacing, erasure, just gets rid of any semblance of identity, is like, oh, I could do that. And that's the power that she uses later to walk away, is I'm not going to make myself small anymore. I actually care about this, and I'm going to hold on to that tiny little flame, and I'm going to walk away with it. And yeah, you know, like, more power to her.
Yes, I love that. I mean, because we're all on our own journeys. And so she's learning these lessons in her own time, in her own way, exploring it as they're presented to her. And that's kind of like where, you know, we can have ideas about what we want to do or how we want to do things, but at the same level sometimes, or like songs that you want to complete and that should be done and over with, but they're not. They come back because we're not ready to finish it yet. We're not ready to approach it yet. We haven't heard the lesson in the same way that we're going to after we've had a lived experience. So then we get to Collapse, which totally took me by surprise, to be honest with you. The lyrics are incredible. I think they tell such, like, it's so, for me as a musician, it's so relatable, right? So you're just going to sing until you collapse, and then we're going to find a way to get back up again. So tell me a little bit more.
Well, I was another trend, going crazy alone in my room. I felt like all I had done was work and laundry. And I was like, I have been barely getting by for so long. And, you know, how much longer can I do this? I have like, and, you know, I'm like, oh, going through all of these like other options, like, but I have a degree in journalism. I have a degree in advertising. I can do marketing. I am really great with children. I love education. I could teach, you know, I'm going through all of these scenarios that could be like, help sustain me. But there's a louder, stronger voice that speaks now every time I start to stray, that goes, you know what happened last time you did this. You did something else and you sabotaged it, because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. This is not your calling. This music, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And it directs me back every time. And it's been one of the only constants in my life. And that opening line, I'm a victim to my own mind, take my brain off the current situation, like, it comes creeping back in. But it hasn't just been once or twice or 4 or 5 or 7 times. It's been repeat, repeat, repeat. And you're presented with the same problems.
Because we haven't learned the lesson yet.
We haven't learned the lesson yet. And I'm rephrasing my thinking on this, but we'll get to that in a second.
Cool.
But that's the whole thing, is like, you hear the fight back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like, I can't help it. I'm filled with doubt. But I meant it when I said that I can't live without. There is no faith without doubt. And you know this.
I appreciate that you said this. I had somebody tell me, like, well, are you sure that you can be an artist? Because it sounds like you have a lot of self-doubt. And like,
yeah.
Well, I'm a human.
Yeah.
And then we work towards, you know, not letting it limit us, not letting it stop us.
Yeah. And I think that doubt is a healthy way to measure the level of risk that you're taking. And to be an entertainer without oodles and oodles of money to back you is a huge risk. And even then it's a huge risk, because if you have oodles and oodles of money to back you, there's usually strings attached. So it just,
That's a price to pay.
There's always a price to pay, and of some sort. And a lot of times it's just like if you're willing to what you're willing to pay to do the thing. And I'm paying with my time and as much resource as I can, and constantly putting myself out on the line and delaying this moment where I feel like I'm going to finally feel settled. And I've learned to channel it, but collapse is just like I could say so much on this topic, so much, because I have been through this so many times, but it has changed every time. But like, I'm just like running in circles with myself so much that I could just collapse and just stay down. What if I just gave up? You know, and I could. You can. You can give up.
Yeah.
But every time I've given up, I've started again. And they say the only time you fail is when you stop trying.
Oh,
and so I'm not a failure. I've never been a failure because I've never stopped trying. And like it's this internal like, grr, you can't do it. I can do it. You can't do it. You have to do it. And
you promised you would do it. You said you would do it.
You said you'd do it. Do it. And I kind of self-mockingly in that little second like pre-chorus thing, again, it ain't been just once or twice or 4 or 5 or 7 times. I'll sing again and play real nice just for you. Hopefully somebody gets a clue that I'm not going to stop this, like, come on, I'm still doing it.
So great.
I'm still in service to you. And it is a little bit of like a, come on, guys, get with the program. And by guys, I mean universe.
Yeah.
And then I go into the, like, you could tell me that I'm better off working at a real job, trying to mitigate time lost. You're getting old. You're getting old. Why? Only young people can be artists. Only young people can be pop stars, whatever. No, that's not true. It's just not true. Some of my favorite artists didn't get popular until well after my age, some slightly before. I'm slowly passing those marks. I do get a little nervous at times, which is why I threw it out there. But like it's not over until I'm gone. It's just there's always time until there's no more, until I'm not here.
Right.
And that's when I put my foot down again, putting my foot down. I can tell you I've had enough. I've heard enough of what people have said about the amount of time you're supposed to spend chasing your dreams before you have to give them up.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't know who came up with that benchmark, but like, it's just that it's not a one thing fits all. I think when it's right for you to like, maybe not even give up, right? To take a break.
Yeah.
To, let your system rest, because the more that you do things when you're like so far out of your discomfort zone, like you're just going to try to avoid it and it's going to be a terrible situation. And then you try to go back to it's not good. So it is important to pause, right? And to take, time to rest and find strength again. But yeah, that comparison that comes in, the judgment that comes in, it's so unnecessary. It's such a waste of time and energy, but is all that seems to circulate the quickest in social media and, the way that we talk to each other sometimes with gossip. It's that like, it can't help but present itself. And so then you're supposed to acknowledge and say, oh, thank you. That's such a great, thought. And thanks for sharing. And on to the next. Now we move forward. Now we try something new. Now you just can't let it keep you down.
You can't let it constrain you. And people are going to give you advice. People are going to give you advice and think that they're helping you. And that's what I really had to like wrap my head around is like, these people are really trying to do something good for me.
Yeah.
And
they don't know that what they said is triggering or that it hurts or that it's
discouraging or hurtful. And, to ask somebody to be anything that they're not, again, like in this point in the story, the high priest is like, you're doing some weird stuff. You're hurting these people. And the emperor is like, I just told you to take me as I am. And so he's like, I can't help it. This is the way I am. I've always done it this way. GTFO, and he like kind of like shoves her out and it's his like declaration. And it is like, again, it puts it into this perspective of this tongue in cheek, like this really like, I have found in myself this hyper masculine retort to all of this, like, okay, but you're a woman and you're aging and you're supposed to be like settling and having children, is this kind of like, I can't help it. I'm filled with this stuff. I'm constantly writing songs. I have energy and creative energy that needs an outlet in the way that it needs to be manifested. And yeah, that end of the song is like, I will sing until I collapse and I will not stay down. Like you will hear me, you will see me, and I will be around until my dying breath, like doing this. And in a way, it's like a devotion to like my craft, which is my song. So
I love that. And then we get to Time, which was like one of the most pensive, right? Piece. It did feel like time passing, like a very big period of time that passed. So tell me about that.
Well, funnily enough, that was another song that I wrote in like 2019, I think. And it was just a voice note. And then I, for some reason, came across it about a year ago.
When it was time.
And the chords just came to me and I finished it like in 30 minutes. It was crazy. And I just knew when I wrote that one, I was like, oh, this is it. This is a good one. And because I was crying when I was writing. And it's one of those dreaded 6/8 songs. It's like waltzy, and it's like you could just slow dance into eternity with it. And
very haunting. It gave me a lot of nostalgia, like that. I don't know why this image came to mind, but you know, did you ever see the animated movie Anastasia?
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of the ballroom scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I used to sing whatever song that was.
Once Upon a December.
Yes, I used to love that song. Oh, it's such a great movie. But I don't have much, I think, to say about that, because I feel like it speaks for itself in that it's like, it really is just candid and honest. And that is one of the most deeply honest songs that I've ever written. And it kind of crosses time and relationships. It's like 3 relationships and heartbreaks had passed since I started. And, you know, I took all of that feeling and just I just took all of that feeling and I put it right in that song. And I remember it had a totally different feel to it. And then I started doing the 6/8 thing, and I was like swaying in my room, and that bridge came like, I'm in love with you, but I have to go start again. I have to start. I'm shedding my skin. I'm like, it was like a letting go of the need to possess love externally in order to manifest the internal love out. You know, like a true, like, I'm doing this for me. Like I would stay with you. I love you. I will, like, my heart is going to be with you, a piece of it at the very least, always. But you hurt me so bad, and I've betrayed myself staying with you. So it's my turn to walk away. And, you know, at the very end, I wail, like, can't you see how hard I tried? Like, there is so much like sorrow and anger in that, of like, I just gave and gave and gave and gave and gave. And it's my turn to give that to myself. But I will not go out without you knowing how hard I tried and how much I cared for you. You know, like, I want this to stick with you, not because I want it to haunt you, but because I want you to remember like the love that was here. Because when somebody else gives it to you, I want you to know, you know, like, this is not without price. Again, this is not without labor. It is labor of love, you know? And in the story, this is the point where the high priestess leaves the emperor quietly, slips away in the night, and, you know, leaves him with basically just like a little note, and is like, you betrayed me, and I'm done betraying myself. And it's my turn to find my kingdom, you know, like, I'm going to go build my world now. And that leads us, she wanders back into the woods,
Mm-hmm.
And that leads us to divine code. But we can finish talking about time if you have any questions.
No, I'm crying. I don't know if it's because I haven't slept, but definitely it deeply resonates with me. And I think one of the points that you're making too, right? When we make decisions or do things that are not in alignment with who we are, and we're consistently doing those things for another person or for an external entity, you do lose track of who you are. You lose track of what you're meant to be doing, and you realize you're so far off the path. You need to reroute yourself. And that's just a reality that you face when there's enough, when you actually stop to think about it.
Yeah. There are points in time. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. There are points in time. Sorry, you got me at the pun.
There are points in time where you have to choose. Mm. And it's unfortunate because when you really love, you want both. I want you and I want me. Mm-hmm. And there are times that come up where you do have to choose between your loving yourself truly and loving somebody else. And you should never choose the other person. Like if it is a sacrifice of love to the self. Mm-hmm. There are so many ways that you can sacrifice in love for somebody else that is not compromising to your security. Mm-hmm. But it is an act of love to walk away from somebody you love if there's nothing else to give. Mm-hmm. If they've mistreated you. There is an enabling that happens when you stay. Mm-hmm. And there is growth that is allowed in love when you take a step back from something that no longer serves you.
Absolutely. When I think of what I'm thinking of right now is as something dies, right? It gives new life to the soil, which then brings in new life again. Yeah. So it is that a necessary part of life is the death of things, so that new things can grow. Mm. So with that, we get to divine code, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Is there anything more that you want to reference in that?
Well, that's the point where the high priestess walks out and into the woods again. She's like, well, I guess I'll just go live with the animals and flowers because apparently people and gods are messed up. But she's also open because she has that space now. There's no void to fill. It's just open energy. You know, when your heart is really, truly open and you are secure and love yourself the way that you really need to show up. It's not, oh yeah, I love myself. It's like, I am the mother, I am the child, I am the grandmother, like I am the earth, the father, like I will always be here for me. When you have that love for yourself, there's so much space for so many people and so many different forms of love. And there's also a filter that does not allow certain people in. Mm-hmm. And you start to be able to discern. And in this discernment, the high priestess finds her community. They literally come out of the woodwork. They're like approaching from trees and shrubs. And I like to imagine them just like, popping up. Beautiful. Like out of the forest. And they just join in like the circle dance. They're humming. Mm-hmm. It's that unspoken, I'm not asked, like, you're not like, oh my gosh, when you're little and you're like, can we be friends? And it's like, okay, we can be friends. And it's like that into adulthood, but in a way that's like unspoken. Yes. It's like, there's no need to ask. It just like the universe just allows it. You allow it. Mm-hmm. They allow it. Mm-hmm. It's like you start to align yourself with other people that are open just like that. And then you see that love is not only abundant, but it's endless. And that's the divinity, right? That's the divine code is really just truly at the heart of it. Clarity, divine code, that's love. Mm-hmm. That's love. You find truth in love, for sure.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the last track, which is Create or Destroy, which I really loved. The style that it's in is just incredible. I had so much fun with that song. So
it's a blast. Yeah. I also had fun with that song. It started out very like jazzy and brooding and almost like, I don't know. I would say that it was definitely written in like a very hermetic period where I was like doing a lot of self-reflecting. And this was actually shortly after I completed A Lover too, that I wrote this. Because on the flip side, that dark underbelly of I wish you were here was I want to possess you. And I can't help but laugh at that just because it's like, oh, so intense. And it's very like camp in that it's like, I'm looking back on it as a bit more mature and more well loved in and of myself now. Like, oh boy, that I did not, I was not aware of how much pain I was in. And there was this feeling of like having struck a deal with the devil. Like it was that like Southern Baptist in me that crawling out of the depths that was like, you did this to yourself. And I really wanted to embody that still. Like I didn't want to quite let go of the like haunting energy that song had, even though I had moved forward from that. And it was definitely more of a like, it definitely was a love song when I wrote it. But there was a bit of madness to it. And I was like, I think I'm going to lean into this. And when I pitched it to Reggie, he was like, yeah. And there was a point in time where we were like, we played around with like certain things and like things started getting real weird technically, like technologically things started like collapsing in on themselves and we couldn't figure out what's going on. So we had to kind of like remove some of the like eerie symbology in that, which I could get into later if we have time, but that might be a good story for another time.
Oh.
But this was like, you know, it starts out kind of like it slowly turned into this kind of like almost Hamlet-esque monologue, like the emperor comes out on stage and he's like, no matter what happens, can we stay like this? Will love prevail or will desire fail us? And it's like he knows, but he doesn't get it.
Yes.
You know,
he's caught up in the moment of the limelight and the stage and the performance aspect of things. Yes.
He's on a high and the high priestess is just left. And he's like, it was simultaneously the first time he ever felt love truly. And also the first time he hasn't gotten what he wanted. And so there's this like, you're my addiction. I want you so bad. But again, you like hear it. You're my addiction. I want you so bad. Like you are my everything. You're my light and I'll do anything to have you. It's not love. No. We know what that is. It's lust. It's possession. It's pain. And he's alone again. And he's talking to himself in his room, out on his balcony, you know, and he has an entire kingdom at his fingertips. And he's so fixated on this one person that decided to walk away.
I love this story so much. I enjoyed listening to the album. I hope everybody will listen. It's out now everywhere. Clarity by Coven Dove. Just an incredible story, an incredible journey. I think there's something for everyone to resonate with it. It's so theatrical and so human. And so I really appreciate you not giving up, not collapsing, and continuing to go forward with your storytelling and with your experience. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome. I've loved this so much. Thank you, Toya.
Thank you. And with that, we thank everybody for listening. This has been Tuesday with Toya. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.